The first thing Elias Cord felt was the cold. Not the aching kind that bit through flesh, but the sterile, precise chill of machinery, the kind designed to unnerve. His arms were pinned, legs locked. He opened his eyes. White light pulled above him, humming with clinical indifference. Metal restraints hummed softly, calibrated to react at the slightest twitch. A table. An alien table. So this was how the bugs did hospitality. Vitals steady. Came a voice, clicking, multitoned, disembodied. Neural activity elevated. Subject is conscious. A shadow loomed in his peripheral vision, angular and too tall. The creature stepped forward, encased in exoskeletal plating that shimmered like oil. Its eyes, if they were eyes, glowed dim green, unreadable. Its mouthparts clicked once. Then it spoke in practiced, neutral English. I am Prime Interrogator Zeldar. You are Elias Cord, human soldier, born New Denver, Earth. Age 36. Former tactical specialist. Captured on Argent 6. Confirm. Elias blinked once. Depends. You planning to offer me a drink, or is this one of those just the facts, ma'am kind of chats? Zeldar did not respond. Instead, its arm extended into a multi-fingered appendage, hovering an inch from Elias's temple. We do not require your cooperation. Figured. The spa music gave it away. The probe made contact. Sharp cold pierced his mind, fast, invasive. Memories flared like broken film, the firefight, the extraction gone wrong, the crash. The taste of ash when he'd realized the evac ship wasn't waiting. Then the click of a Corvex weapon. Then black. The probe retracted. Surface scan confirms identification. Emotional index, high resistance, low submission. Anomalous. Elias forced a smirk. Humans are full of surprises. You might want to tighten your seatbelt. Zeldar stepped back. This level of psychological defiance is inefficient. Other species collapse within 3 interrogation cycles. That's the difference between humans and the rest of your collection, Elias said, voice sharpening. We break after we win. The Corvex made no visible reaction, but its limbs stiffened. Insubordination under duress. Interesting coping mechanism. You'd be surprised what sarcasm does under pressure. Better than your mind zapper anyway. The lights dimmed. A new device lowered from the ceiling, something like a halo ring with pulsing tendrils. Elias eyed it, pulse steady. He'd been briefed on Corvex tech before, the kind that didn't just extract memories, but played with them. You want something specific? Elias asked. Or just poking around like bored toddlers in a pantry? We seek your command structure. Your fleet dispersal data. Defense codes. Classic. You really think I'm the guy with all the secrets? You possess high value within your unit. Commanders protect assets. Your extraction was attempted. That alone proves your strategic worth. He swallowed. Quietly. They tried to pull him out. He hadn't imagined the gunfire during his capture. His squad had circled back. And yet, Zeldar continued, your team failed. You are alone. Elias turned his head toward the alien, meeting its gaze. No, I'm captured. There's a difference. There was a pause. A barely perceptible shift in the Corvex's posture. We shall begin memory stream induction. Yippee! The ceiling ring descended. A low hum built in Elias's skull, then a flash. He was 10. Holding a toy gun. His sister Jessa was giggling, ducking behind the couch. Flash. He was 21. First mission. Moon colony sweep. Dust and fear and adrenaline. Flash. Jessa again. Older now. Wounded. Screaming in the rubble of a civilian convoy. Blood on his hands. He gritted his teeth. Get the hell out of there. But the machine burrowed deeper. A battlefield, cratered and steaming. His best friend, Ramirez, vaporized mid-sentence. A burned village. A child's melted shoe. Another scream. Elias arched upward in the restraints. The machine didn't stop. Subject exhibiting resistance. Emotional integrity unfractured. Feedback present. Zelda moved forward again. You resist instinctively. Yet your neural network welcomes connection. Fascinating contradiction. Elias gasped, sweat trickling down his temple. You feeling something, Bug? The alien froze. Yes. That's right. The Corvex didn't feel. Not really. Not like humans did. But now, it looked different. Not in body, but in bearing. Slower. Less sure. Elias leaned back, breathing steady. This thing, your tech, it doesn't just extract. It transfers, doesn't it? Whatever you pull, you carry back. Zeldar didn't answer. It stepped back into shadow. I've read the reports, Elias continued. Your interrogators go silent after humans. Start dreaming. Some even kill themselves. You didn't know why. Now you do. Silence. You're not ready for what's inside us. The loss. The rage. The love. The refusal to lie down and die. You wanted to break me? He looked up at the ring, still glowing above. I was born broken. All that's left is jagged edges, and they cut deep. Zelda finally spoke. You are anomalous. Dangerous. Predictive models fail to anticipate your psychology. Yeah, Elias muttered. We tend to ruin models. The restraints hummed again. Tighter now. Heat returned to the table's surface. You will remain under constant induction until further analysis. Elias shut his eyes. You can scan every corner of my brain, he said, voice low now. But the moment you understand what you find, you'll never be Corvex again. Zeldar remained silent, unmoving. Then it turned and walked away. The chamber was darker this time. Elias could feel it, not just with his eyes, but with something deeper, older. The cold metal beneath his spine had been replaced with a thermal mesh that shifted in temperature unpredictably. It wasn't about comfort. It was about disorientation. A soft, throbbing pulse echoed in the chamber walls. A heartbeat. Not his. The ring above descended again. This time, he didn't flinch. You're back, Elias muttered, voice dry. Zeldar emerged from the shadow with deliberate stillness. Something in its gait had changed, measured, almost hesitant. Its mandibles flexed once. It said nothing. You want to dive again, don't you? Elias continued, cocking an eyebrow. See what makes the ape tick. The alien raised one elongated arm and touched the console. The memory stream reactivated. But this time Elias didn't resist. He let it in. It began with Jessa, again. Not the horror, not the ending, but the beginning. She was 9, laughing beside a river, chasing frogs. Elias was 12, holding a makeshift fishing rod, proud of catching nothing. The memory was warm, untouched by war. Untouched by loss. A ripple spread through the psionic stream. And for a brief second, Zeldar twitched. Another scene followed. Elias in cadet training. Failing his first simulation. His face flushed with shame, fists clenched. You're not a tactician, Cord. You're a blunt instrument, the instructor had said. But then, Jess's voice again, from a message. Don't let anyone decide your shape, Eli. You bend how you want to bend. More warmth. More fire. The Corvex ring shuddered slightly. The chamber lights flickered. Zeldar stepped back from the console. Its breathing was erratic, if it could even be called breathing. Its limbs shook in a way not documented in any Corvex biological manual. You're feeling it, aren't you? Elias whispered. You thought you could stare into our pain without bleeding. Zeldar didn't reply. A pause stretched, longer than its species ever permitted in professional function. You carry memories like data, Elias continued. We carry them like bricks on our backs. And the heavier they are, the harder we fight not to fall. Zeldar turned slightly, but Elias wasn't done. You showed me a battlefield yesterday. Want to see what makes a real soldier? The stream surged. Ramirez. Elias's closest friend. Gunner. Loud mouth. Always talking about building a cabin on Mars after the war. Then came Sector 12, ambushed. Ramirez took the hit. Plasma to the chest. Half his body gone. Still breathing. Elias held his head. Ramirez's blood steamed on his gloves. "I'm scared, man," Ramirez had whispered. "You think there's something after?" Elias never answered. He just held him until the light left his eyes. The chamber shook. A sharp cry rang out, not from Elias. Zeldar had staggered. One limb gripped the wall, its exoskeletal frame spasming. Its chest plate blinked erratically. "You felt that," Elias said, almost gently. "You heard him die, didn't you?" The alien didn't move. A flicker of green shimmered in one of its eyes, dull, but undeniably wet. A door behind them hissed open. Another Korvax stepped in, taller, thinner, a subordinate. "Interrogator Zeldar." It clicked. "Emotive resonance destabilizing your signal. Recommend terminating stream and subject." But Zeldar did not respond. The subordinate stepped closer, mandibles flaring. "This is contamination. You are compromised." Without warning, Zeldar turned and lashed out, a brutal, precise strike. The other Korvax slammed into the wall, its carapace splitting open like a dropped shell. Fluids leaked out. Elias blinked. "Well?" That escalated. Zeldar looked down at the corpse, then at his own trembling hands. "You just killed your own man," Elias murmured. "Not because of logic. Not because of protocol. But because you felt something." The ring above flickered out. Silence returned. "I do not understand," Zeldar said, voice quieter than ever before. "These images. They linger. I experience them when I am alone. I feel them when I close my eyes. They're called dreams," Elias said. "Humans have them all the time. Especially the broken ones." Zeldar stared at him, its breathing uneven. "What is the function of this sister?" Elias smiled weakly. "She was hope. The best of me. And you dug her up. You saw what she meant. That's why you're cracking." "I do not wish to feel this," the alien whispered. "But now you do," Elias said. "And that's irreversible." Another pause. The alien twitched. "Your pain is viral," it said. "No," Elias corrected. "Our resilience is. Pain is just the delivery method." Behind them, another monitor blinked. Human vitals, Korvax diagnostics, side by side. Interference growing. The tech had backfired. Again. But this time, something had transferred that wouldn't be wiped away by a system reset. Elias sat up slightly, his restraints loosening, either forgotten or allowed. He whispered low, "Your hive will come for you soon. You've gone too far." Zeldar didn't look at him. "I am uncertain," it said. Elias nodded. "That's the beginning." Zeldar did not sleep. Not by design. Sleep was a weakness. The Korvax hive network functioned through constant cognitive uptime. Interrogators like him were bred to be precise, detached. Dreams were for organic mistakes like humans. And yet, he dreamed. Elias was walking through a forest. Light filtered between tall pine branches. There was laughter. His sister's. The image wavered like static, then bled into smoke, fire, death. A city cratered. Skulls blackened and crushed. Ash in the wind. Zeldar awoke on the chamber floor, trembling. The other technicians had noticed. Their hive links, psionic channels connecting them to each other, flickered with noise. Not instructions. Echoes. Thoughts that didn't belong. Emotions with no neural category. Foreign feelings began spreading like mold across steel. In the core medbay, one handler had already severed their neural link. Slashed it clean with their own claw. "Are you infected?" one hissed. "Is it the human?" another whispered. Zeldar said nothing. Meanwhile, Elias sat upright in the dark. He was no longer restrained. No need. They knew by now, he wasn't running. He wasn't pleading. He was watching. When Zeldar re-entered the chamber, his posture was changed, stiffer, more upright, like a soldier entering hostile ground. Elias nodded to him. Rough night? I did not rest. Yeah. You did. You just didn't like what came with it. Zeldar approached the console slowly. Its hands hovered but didn't activate the stream. I am malfunctioning. No, Elias replied. You're becoming. Becoming what? Something that can choose. The alien's eyes dimmed. The hive does not choose. It executes. Emotion is noise. In the swarm, clarity is sacred. That clarity is what got you here, at war with a species you don't understand. We understand your biology, your structures, your language, but not us, Elias said. Not what we feel. That's why we win. There was silence. Then, slowly, Elias stood. His legs were stiff, muscles sore from days of restraint. But he stood anyway. And Zeldar didn't stop him. You know what you've done, don't you? Elias asked. This? He gestured around. This was never about intel. It was about breaking a human. Proving we're no different from the others. Zeldar's mandibles twitched. The swarm needed a demonstration. And now you're the demonstration, Elias said, stepping closer. Your tech didn't just skin me. It linked us. I gave you my nightmares. My grief. And now it's leaking through you, into your ship. Into your people. I feel fear, Zeldar admitted. Elias exhaled. Good. An alarm blared through the corridor. Red strobes flashed behind the chamber walls. The door opened without warning, and a smaller Corvex, panicked, limbs shaking, burst in. Interrogator, it said frantically. Resonance cascade in neural net. 37 technicians offline. 9 self-terminated. Emotional spillage is spreading. It saw Elias standing and hesitated. Zeldar stepped between them. You have seen the data? He asked the subordinate. Yes. Central is preparing for sterilization. Hive consensus has concluded. The human must be erased. Elias chuckled under his breath. That's always the fallback with your kind, huh? Don't understand it? Burn it. The subordinate hissed and turned to Zeldar. Compliance is required. But Zeldar didn't move. The subordinate's voice turned colder. You are experiencing personality deviation. You will be isolated for treatment. Zeldar slowly reached behind his back, and in a blur, drove a precision claw into the subordinate's thorax. The body collapsed to the floor, twitching. Elias blinked. Huh. I have deviated, Zeldar said quietly. There is no return. The door remained open. Elias looked at it, then at the body, then back at Zeldar. Are you saying what I think you're saying? There are others, Zeldar murmured. Human prisoners. Sedated. Forgotten. They will be sterilized with the rest of this vessel. You want me to help you stop it? You want to survive. We now share a goal. Elias tilted his head. You're defecting? I no longer belong to the hive. I no longer wish to. For the first time since he arrived, Elias laughed, low, tired, but real. You're either the galaxy's worst interrogator, or the best recruiter humanity's ever had. He stepped past the dead Corvex and toward the open hallway. Let's go break the hive. The Val'Qaran was no longer quiet. Alarms screamed through the halls like dying machines. Lights blinked erratically, red, blue, then dark. Automated systems stuttered, glitching under emotional data feedback they were never designed to process. The ship groaned. Not from damage, but confusion. It didn't understand what it had become. Neither did its crew. Elias followed Zeldar through a narrow corridor lit only by flickering emergency strips. The Corvex interrogator moved with mechanical precision, but its steps weren't as smooth as before. It hesitated at junctions. Its breathing, real or simulated, was shallow and uneven. How many humans are on board? Elias asked. 73, Zeldar answered. Mostly low-priority captures. Uninterrogated. Sedated and caged near the detention vault. Are they marked for sterilization? Yes. Elias swallowed. Then we've got work to do. They reached an auxiliary armory. Zeldar tapped into a side panel, bypassing clearance levels he'd once enforced without question. The vault hissed open. Elias stepped in. Racks of Korvax weapons lined the walls, spine guns, neurodisruptors, acid darts. All alien. All unfamiliar. I don't suppose you've got something with a trigger? He muttered. Zeldar handed him a sleek weapon with 3 fingers worth of a grip. Point. Release. It adapts. Elias raised an eyebrow. A smart gun. Great. He tested the weight. Lighter than expected. But he had no time to hesitate. How long before the hive realizes what you've done? He asked. I sent no alerts. But the psionic leakage is accelerating. Central Control will notice. They will respond with. A deep thrum shook the deck beneath them. Elias looked up. That feels like a response. Internal purge protocols, Zeldar said. They've started melting the lower decks. The detention vault was 2 levels below. They took the maintenance shafts, Zeldar leading, Elias covering their 6. At one point, they passed 2 stunned Korvax soldiers kneeling in the corridor. They were sobbing, not fighting, not attacking. Just whispering fragmented words in broken human tongues. Elias paused. They dreaming too? They were exposed to your memories during psionic overflow, Zeldar said. Poor bastards. He kept moving. At the vault entrance, they met resistance. 4 Korvax guards stood firm. Unlike the others, these weren't infected. Their movements were sharp, synchronized. Loyalists. Zeldar stepped forward. I am Prime Interrogator. Stand down. One guard responded. You are compromised. You will be excised. Zeldar raised a claw. Elias acted first. He fired the smart gun. A blue pulse launched with a whisper, striking the first guard and hurling it into the bulkhead. Elias ducked behind a crate as acid shots sprayed past. Zeldar moved like a machine, limbs rotating, claws slicing. He disarmed one guard with inhuman grace, then drove a blade through its thorax. Elias finished the rest. Smoke filled the corridor. Bodies slumped. Silence returned. Elias looked at Zeldar. You're a natural. I was made to dismantle enemies of the hive, Zeldar replied. Now I am one. Elias keyed the vault. Inside, rows of humans hung in stasis harnesses, suspended in clear tubes, eyes closed, motionless. Vital signs blinked on small interfaces. Most were soldiers. A few were civilians. One looked barely 20. Elias moved fast. He pried open the closest pod and caught the soldier before he collapsed. Hey! Hey, you're all right. Stay with me. The man blinked groggy. W.H. where? Name? Elias asked. Private Darrow. 302nd. You're with me now. We're breaking out. Zeldar stepped in and began releasing more. One by one, they awakened, confused and panicked. Elias climbed a nearby platform and shouted, Listen up! I'm Sergeant Elias Cord. This ship's turning into a graveyard. You want to live, follow me. You want to lie down, do it somewhere else. Eyes focused. Soldiers remembered their training. Gear? Someone asked. Alien tech only, Elias said. But it'll do the job. 15 minutes later, the 73 humans were armed, awake, and pushing through the bowels of the ship. Resistance was light. Most Korvax were either dead, unstable, or quarantined behind melting blast doors. Their destination, a small skiff docked in secondary Bay E9. Unused. Forgotten. Their only shot. Why is the base still operational? Elias asked Zeldar as they jogged. Command prioritized internal suppression. Escape was not considered likely. Good. We'll keep proving them wrong. But just before reaching the bay, a blast door slammed down. Elias cursed. The group halted. Behind them, something heavy stepped out of the smoke. A corvex. Larger than the others. Covered in black and crimson carapace. Dual claws, reinforced legs, no translator device. Zeldar stiffened. That is an executioner. Deployed only during full protocol breakdowns. It was bred for only one purpose. I can guess, Elias said grimly. Run or fight? We would not survive retreat. Elias nodded. Then we hold. He turned to his ragtag group of freed POWs. Listen close. That thing is a killing machine. But it doesn't have what we have. It doesn't feel. It doesn't remember. So fight like people who've lost everything, and are too pissed off to die. Weapons raised. The executioner roared. The hallway erupted. The executioner charged. It didn't hesitate, didn't calculate, didn't fear. It simply moved, tearing through smoke and flame like a hammer swung by a god. Its first strike pulverized the deck beside Elias, sending 2 freed prisoners flying. Screams rose, but they didn't retreat. They fought. Elias dove sideways and opened fire, his alien weapon releasing sharp pulses of blue light. They scorched the executioner's armor, but didn't penetrate. One soldier flanked left, firing point blank. Acid exploded in his face. He dropped without a sound. Fall back! Elias shouted, dragging a bleeding corporal behind cover. Zeldar ideas? The Corvex defector didn't respond immediately. He was staring at the monster, at what he once might have become. This is not a soldier, Zeldar murmured. This is a ritual, the hive's idea of purification. Great, Elias snapped. Then purify faster! Zeldar turned and sprinted into the smoke. Elias fired again to draw the executioner's attention, then ducked as a claw carved through the wall beside him. The hallway erupted with chaos. 2 humans tried to disable the lights. One lost an arm. Another blew a coolant pipe into the creature's face, momentarily staggering it. Then Zeldar returned. He was carrying an unstable core, ripped from a dying reactor on Deck 11. The thing pulsed like a wounded heart. Elias saw it and paled. You're insane. This unit was never built to feel pain, Zeldar said calmly. It will not fear death. But it can still be broken. How big's the blast? Enough to destroy this deck. Elias looked at the skiff bay door. They were close. 100 meters. But not everyone could make it in time. Zeldar handed him the device. You lead them. I will delay the executioner. Elias stared at him. You sure? The Corvex nodded. I have felt many things since you arrived, Elias Cord. One of them is this: some deaths are not a failure. They are resistance. For a moment, Elias said nothing. Then he nodded. See you on the other side, Bug. Elias turned and barked at the group. Move! Get to the bay! Go, go, go! Soldiers hauled wounded. Civilians limped or ran. The executioner saw them flee, and lunged to follow. But Zeldar intercepted. He moved with inhuman grace, claws slicing, legs leaping, body twisting through strikes. He fought with no hope of winning, only with purpose. The executioner struck him once. Crushed part of his thorax. He didn't fall. Zeldar activated the core and pressed it against the beast's chest. It howled. Elias and the others reached the bay door. He turned, breathing hard, and hit the manual override. The skiff, a small, rugged escape vessel, waited like a lifeboat in the dark. Everyone in! Inside, he slammed the hatch. Red lights flashed. Systems were cold but responsive. He looked out the viewport. Saw the silhouette of Zeldar, limping, pinned, still fighting. The core exploded. The deck ruptured. Flames bloomed outward like a flower of vengeance. Metal warped. Bulkheads collapsed. The shockwave reached the bay, but the skiff had already launched. The humans watched through fractured glass as Vodhooker's hull fractured behind them. The hive's order was collapsing into silence. Elias sat down, covered in soot, bruised and bloodied. Across from him sat the young soldier he'd saved. Was that thing one of them? The boy asked. Yeah, Elias replied. But he saved us. Elias didn't answer right away. Then, he started as an interrogator. Ended as a man. The soldier was quiet. Then softly, do you think others will change like him? Elias looked out the viewport, toward the remains of the ship. Yeah, he said. Because once you feel what we feel, there's no going back. 3 weeks later, Earth Outpost Gamma 9. Elias sat before a debrief officer. Clean uniform. Fresh stitches. Same smirk. So let me get this straight, the officer said, raising a brow. An elite Corvex interrogator broke protocol, helped you escape, and died protecting your squad? Not a squad, Elias said. Just people who wanted to live. The officer leaned back. You're saying we didn't beat him with tech or tactics? We beat him with feelings? Elias stood and walked to the window. Outside, Earth's moon hung quiet. No, he said. We didn't beat him. We changed him. And that's how we win this war. He paused. Not with bigger guns, but with something they can't compute. Something they never evolved to survive. The officer blinked. Which is? Elias smiled, slow and tired. Us.